All right. Welcome to the With, Where, and Who podcast with Winona Forever. How are y'all doing today?
We're good. How are you doing?
Good. How's Canada? How's Montreal?
Yeah, it's really cold. It's really cold today.
Cool. Yeah, I'm here in Atlanta. Have y'all been to Atlanta before?
Never.
No.
It's like you'll be here and it'll be hot one day and it'll be really cold the other day, and you can't tell from the weather, like weatherman on TV or the weather person on TV. Is that kind of like the same for Montreal, or is it like always just really cold there?
We're in a deep freeze.
Yeah.
Deep freeze.
God,
Wow.
no way.
So,
Months.
well, thank you all once again for joining me. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is just go from left to right, state your name and what you do in the band.
To my left?
Yeah, you're
Cool. I'm Ben. I sing and play guitar in the band.
I'm Sam and I play bass.
I'm Alex. I drum and record stuff.
I'm Rowan and I play guitar and I sing.
Awesome. So I mentioned earlier that y'all are currently in Montreal, but you were originally based in Vancouver with the whole do-it-yourself scene over there. So when you were playing in Vancouver back in 2015, what's that whole do-it-yourself scene like when you're first starting out?
I mean, it's sort of just like, I feel like it started to become pretty good, and like a lot of people were doing a lot of stuff, and like we were throwing good shows, and there were only a few venues, but it was good.
A lot of like sort of warehouses and people's basements, and just sort of word of mouth, kind of like somewhat gray area legally. And when you're not under 19 in Vancouver, it's basically just really hard to find shows. So that's what we found growing up. And then when we started playing our own shows, we wanted them to always be all ages. So we never really did a lot of bar shows in Vancouver. We really kept to like all ages shows. And here it's a little different in Montreal because it's 18 and there's a little more like people are kind of less.
It's more lax.
Less cops.
Sure.
Yeah.
You were mentioning, yeah, because I know I was reading that when you're in Montreal, like there's literally shows every single day, every single night, like nonstop. And like, is that still true to this day? Like when you're performing?
Definitely.
Yeah, I
Less so in the winter. It gets a little bit quieter, but even still, it's like most nights. And like in the spring and summer, it's like when you play shows, it's like great, but also like, oh, there's other bands going on tonight that I'd really like to see.
Always, yeah.
yeah.
Does it ever get kind of exhausting though, as both a performer and as an audience member, like going to shows nonstop, where you're just like, okay, like I'm going to too many, like I need to take a break, or is it just like keep the train rolling pretty much?
It's fun to go.
Yeah.
It's fun. And like to see what other people are doing and sort of get inspired by people who are around us too, and see what other people are up to is really good.
Especially during stuff like Pop Montreal or M for Montreal, the festivals that happen here are like there's nothing like that in Vancouver. And so we got a chance to play it, and then you get a wristband, and you just go to as many shows as possible. So we saw some pretty cool bands like this year's Pop Montreal, and it was just like,
It was great.
yeah, it was kind of eye-opening compared to like that just doesn't exist in Vancouver. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that kind of stuff I think is a really exciting part of being here.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Pop Montreal because that's huge, like 400 plus shows.
Yeah.
Estimated audience is like 50,000 people. And coming from that whole do-it-yourself scene to that, is it a much easier network database than as a band or as individuals?
It's
I
been
think
pretty
so.
good. It's been good for meeting people.
It's a little bit different because like in the DIY scene in Vancouver, like it's kind of like you're meeting people on a community basis. So you might be meeting someone who runs a space, you might be meeting someone who plays in a sick band, and like then you kind of are still building a network. But the community is kind of like limited to Vancouver instead of someone from a US label or a Swiss like press company seeing your band. Like that's pretty like different scale. It's kind of like more of a, I don't know, like basically Pop Montreal and M for Montreal are pretty global events at this point. So you really don't know who might be watching, and that's pretty cool. Or who you might be able to see as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
That's the thing that's cool is like all the touring artists they get from all over too. So it's like we get to see all of like the best bands in town, but also artists that we don't get to see on a regular basis. And it just does a really good job of connecting everyone and like making.
Who are some of those memorable bands that you've seen at Pop?
Palm was so good. Yeah, Palm.
Jerry, well, I don't know if
Was that M for Montreal or was that Pop?
it was neither, but Jerry Paper's sick. Who else did
Oh, we saw Goodbye Honolulu. They're awesome. They're
Yeah,
from
from
Toronto. We love
True.
those guys.
I don't know. Palm was the biggest one for pop for me. Like,
Palm was amazing.
yeah. Do
Yeah.
you know Palm?
I've heard of the name. I've heard of when you say Goodbye Honolulu, I was like, oh, okay, like I've heard of them. But as you listen to all these artists, growing up and playing music, who were like some of your biggest inspirations and influences that are brought on to Winona Forever?
Biggest influences.
Um,
Alex, what's your biggest influence?
For me, Death Grip. Not really Death Grip, but
I was gonna say I've never heard anything like Death Grips, like in like Keep Cool or 511 or anything like that.
yeah,
You don't hear the
That's what made him want to start drumming, though. That
yeah.
was.
Zach Hill.
Except like be the outro for one of the songs.
We Are the City, I really like. And also a band called Oroyoko. They're called Enter now. They're also in Montreal.
Yeah, they're sick.
like Stevie Wonder's sick.
Stevie Wonder, yeah.
I don't
Shout
know.
out Stevie Wonder.
I don't know. Yeah.
There's people in Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
Yeah, shout out Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
name people who are way better.
Yeah, people that, yeah, there's a lot of great musicians, and we're just kind of like scratching the surface of their music. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think we all kind of come from really different perspectives. Like, Alex honestly listens to maybe the least music out of all of us, so he kind of, I'm serious. Like, I'll be like, oh, you know that one Outkast song? And he'll be like, who's Outkast? Or like, I don't know. I'm not trying to. It kind of like has
you know what that's like in Atlanta if you don't know who Outkast is, though.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
That would be fucked up. Yeah. No, don't tell anyone in Atlanta except for
No.
this.
No, it's funny because like I have like friends and people who've like lived in Atlanta their whole lives, and like to like everyone else, like Outkast is like this great, amazing rap group, and then in Atlanta it's like they're still the same thing, but it's like they're still like local as well. Like I had a friend. Do they have a Shake Shack, or have you heard of Shake Shack? If they have it in Montreal,
Heard of Shake Shack?
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. I had a friend who worked at one of them, and like his first or second week there, like Andre 3000 just like walks in and orders a burger, and he's like telling his employees like, "Oh my God, do you know who that is?" And his employees are just like, "Yeah, that's Andre 3000. He comes in here like every day." And it's like, no, that's not someone who comes in here every day. That's like 50% of Outcasts.
I'm gonna start working at Shake Shack and just open. But yeah, like we all have really different musical influences. So I don't know. It kind of like means that there's a neutral context for what we're trying to do. Kind of like just each doing our own thing, but collaboratively.
It kind of sounds like that in your music too, because there's a lot of like influence from like yacht rock to jazz to neo soul to regular rock, like all coming in. And you definitely hear that without like your but your multi-track project that came out in 2015 to your later releases, and with Keep Cool as well, with that whole like saxophone ending, and then with the whole mellow shoegaze rock guitar riff that's going on too. And I want to talk a little bit about your song as well, Keep Cool, because that's the one I think that when people first hear your name, that's the one like, oh, that song. What's your impression of like when people like react to that and they get the attention and feedback from that one song alone?
Pretty cool. I wasn't expecting it.
Because you ended up like posting like an actual tutorial online like a couple of months or a year after the song came out.
Yeah, people were messaging us for a while, and it hit 1 million, and we were like kind of blown away by that. So it kind of felt like a bit of a like thank you. But yeah, we did our first tour in 2016, and that song got written like in the tour van, and then we brought it back, and like that was just one where we were like, why don't we just try working on one song for like a matter of months and really like honing in on it, and then to have that kind of response kind of really gave us confidence in doing that. So Alex basically produced it, and we just kept jamming it, and like the outro changed a bunch of times, and we brought in a saxophone player. So it's just kind of like the first time for a lot of techniques that we're now doing with all of our music, and it kind of, some of those learning experiences got put onto the other songs that are coming off this album. So I don't know, it kind of is cool for it to be like a flagship song, but we also want to keep updating people's opinion of what we're doing. And yeah, I think it's just a nice simple one, so it's like people can kind of latch onto it. And the video's DIY, so it's pretty approachable. But we're just grateful.
Who comes up with the concepts for your videos as well, with that whole DIY style with it?
I mean, like that one you and Zinnia worked on.
Yeah, like I brought our friend Zinnia in to shoot it, but like I already had the camera and I like bought the fabrics and we already had the furniture, so I don't know. I kind of saw that video in my head before we shot it, and I also edited it. So I guess maybe a one-man show for that one, but like also a lot of people were involved. I think that's important. Like we had a lot of perspectives at play. And then yeah, our latest videos have been with a director in Vancouver named Lester Lance Hookham, and he brings a lot to the table as well. So yeah, just trying to keep some variety, but keep it kind of like in the vision we're going for right now, at least.
Gotcha. And with your name, Winona Forever, does that come from the actual tattoo Johnny Depp had, or does it come with like a fascination you've had with the actress Winona Ryder, or is it kind of like a bit of both, or is there like a whole story behind that?
Yeah. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on a show Stranger Things. Season 3 got announced recently. I'm excited about that.
I feel like there's also like a split side with Winona Ryder as well, because there's like the 80s, like 90s cult heroine Winona Ryder with Beetlejuice and Heathers. Then there's also like the new generation Winona with Stranger Things. So it's almost like she has two careers in a way.
Yeah.
Would y'all say that?
She's much more family friendly now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that for sure.
You named the band?
I think it was Alex, but I don't really remember.
I mean, it is kind of funny that she's had this resurgence because, like, I don't know, there was kind of a trend in Vancouver of people naming their bands like just sort of fun, like play on words names, if so to speak. And I think that this one just kind of came up and stuck, and like we haven't really thought about it that much. But then people ask about it, and we're like, oh yeah, it's like, but it just like worked at the time, and I don't know if the music really like has a strong like sounds like. I don't know. Like, it's just kind of a name that works. So
yeah.
I mean, it is catchy. Like Winona Forever. Like you can say it like literally off the tip of your tongue.
Yeah.
The tattoo reasons.
Yeah. Wino Forever now.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. And I know that y'all are wine enthusiasts as well, from what I've read.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, what is each and every one of your favorite types of wine?
Is that well known?
Like, what do you drink like at the end of a long day of playing, just to, like ease your mind?
Oh my god.
Chardonnay.
I'm a fan of a Pinot, like a Pinot Grigio, maybe.
I'm definitely not the one to talk to about this.
Yeah. You need
Rowan and I do the most of the wine consumption.
I don't think Alex or I drink very much wine.
I don't know the name.
They need to up their wine game.
They do their share.
I can. White wine is pretty good.
White wine's the one.
Yeah.
I can't do red wine.
Very
I
good.
like red wine.
I can do red wine over white.
You do a Merlot.
Red wine for cooking.
Oh yeah.
Merlot or Pinot or Chardonnay.
You guys know so much.
I don't know what that is.
Also, cheap as possible, maybe.
That's also.
What's your age of the wine that you prefer, or is it just like
New,
whatever you?
Yeah.
I had a really fancy wine recently. I don't know how old it was, but it was good.
Could
It was good.
you notice the difference?
I noticed it tasted old. I pretended that was a good thing. It went well.
Like old as in like stale, or old as in like
No, it was just
okay.
mature. It was
Okay.
sophisticated.
Sure. It's like the actual like age, like 19. My friend had like 1980 wine from the 80s that was still good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
From-
So if you are ever interested in drinking like really old wine, get it like 80s or above.
Okay, cool.
If you get into it. So with also your with your music, like I said before, there is a lot of influence going into it. Like I said, with all the different styles of it. So when you are in the recording studio, making your songs, like how does it get made? Like what sound goes in first? Like what's your overall process?
I mean, it kind of depends, like the song to song.
Sometimes
Like
it's
some things we've done just like live together, and some things we've done more like just kind of like just like build it as it goes.
usually we try to make a demo that like has some of the vibe, and then Alex will do like his good copy drums over that because we want the drums to be solid. It's kind of like I would consider it to be a standard process of drums, bass, guitar, vocals, and then for the, like the bits that we've started. The bits have gotten to be quite a lot lately, like 90 tracks, 100 tracks. And Alex is super stoked on that for mixing.
Well,
but
Yeah, his computer just can't.
I don't know. With the horns and stuff, it kind of keeps adding up.
More Alex's computer has a
Don't play.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We
Yeah.
should do a tutorial how to
start mixing.
Alex
It's
will,
like-
like Five Alive, it wouldn't play for more than 2 seconds at a time. So you'd have to like export it and then listen, and then we need new hardware. But basically, like drums and up from there. But we have also live track. We live tracked most of our last album. Some of it in the studio. This is fine, but with Keep Cool, it was kind of nice to build it layer by layer and really listen for the bits that'll be like catchy in different parts, and like there's some like subtle percussion and stuff that even I've forgotten about, but Alex really like layered it really nicely with stuff like that. So there's claps. I don't know if you listen for the claps.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Y'all should do a tutorial though, like on how like you record. It could be like a new trend, you know, just like here's this popular song we made. Here's how you play it. Here's another EP. Here's another album we made.
Yeah.
This is how we recorded it. That could be a new trend.
I really like Wolfpack for doing it. I don't know if people listen to Wolfpack, but they do all their videos with like live stuff. Cool.
Who are they? You said
Wolfpack?
Bullback. I don't think I've heard of them. And they're a band.
I don't know where to go.
I think it like cut out for a second. But no, but yeah, like I was saying, like tutorials would be great because people on YouTube and like all over are wondering like, oh, how do you do this and how do you do that, which is something you couldn't really do way back in the day. But now we literally have the ability to do anything. Like I don't know, Steve Lacy like recorded his like EP off his phone.
Yeah,
Steve Lacy's super
Yeah.
cool.
Major. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if we'll go that far to record on the phone, but maybe
yeah, people hit us up on Instagram sometimes asking for tips, and we'll always like answer. I think it's nice to keep a little bit of it like,
behind
yeah,
closed doors.
Like
some of
very
it-
big.
really random. Like we'll do some weird stuff to get sounds, and like I just think that's kind of the fun of it, like deciding for yourself. But as far as like the basis of like people asking us like, how do you get your guitar sounds? Like you just need a mic and an amp and this and that, and then they're like, whoa, really? And it's like, yeah, you should just feel empowered to do it yourself. Like I think that's really something Steve Lacy's pioneering, or not like championing.
It's popularizing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Love it.
great.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's also like like what Steve Lacy does. It could probably do that like with apps too. Because I know there's like, have you all ever heard of iRig before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
we
the
have
same
one.
thing. Yeah, exactly. So like you know exactly how that works, where you can just edit the sounds, and I'm sure Steve Lacy like did that somehow within his recording process.
Yeah.
So the times are changing for sure.
I'm ready. Well, the other thing for us is we really like the atmosphere of recording at home. Like, I don't know, just taking your time,
Rolling on the bed.
being comfy, having nice lighting and atmosphere. We
No one's like
recorded
over
in
your shoulder.
Exactly, yeah. Well, especially when Alex has to like know how to do it properly, but still to kind of like break the rules when we want to.
Yeah.
Because some technicians would probably be pretty pissed at some of the stuff we do, but like, we know what we want. So that's really what this album has been about, is like being able to just be completely self-sufficient in our process. So yeah, that's it. It hasn't worked perfectly, but we've learned a lot. So yeah, the album's in the final steps.
Getting
So
close.
it's nice to reflect on it and think about the next stuff we're doing.
Getting real close.
And that album, if correct me if I'm wrong, but it's due out in October of this year.
That'd be cool. No, we're thinking June. Yeah, June or July. We have. We're quite sure it's coming out on vinyl, and it'll be on every digital platform for sure. And we're hoping to do some touring for sure behind it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like what we're sorting out right now, as well as the final mixing and mastering.
Speaking of vinyl, that's making a comeback to vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you go through with getting a vinyl record made nowadays as a band? Do you just like contact like a vinyl company and just say, hey, we want to do this, or
We're
how's it go?
well, we're gonna be doing it probably with like a friend of ours from Vancouver. He's the kind of the dude.
Yeah, Kingfisher Blues. He like brokers vinyl deals. It's technically an indie label, but he's just a really good guy that wants to put out records locally. Well, I mean, we're both a Vancouver band and not, but he's been wanting to put out one of our albums for a long time. So now this kind of feels like the right one. He's done like he did the Peach Pit release before they were like on a big label, and he does like a huge range of stuff. But basically like a vinyl broker, and then you pay. Wholesale and try to make a little bit of money back, but you do have to do a lot of copies, so we're a little, we'll see how many we move, but it's cool to have your music on them. Like when you spent over a year on it, to have it on a physical piece of wax. So
it's almost like you're like getting something made. It's almost like putting your music on iTunes, but not doing it online, if that makes any sense. Because you're still like paying a service to do it for you, because you got to pay iTunes to put your music on.
Yeah, we're not grinding out any. That's the next step.
Yeah,
Self-sufficiency. We did our own tapes a little bit, but on a smaller
tapes.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Vancouver, there's a big.
Those are making a comeback too, though.
Yeah.
In a way.
That's a big thing on the west coast of Canada.
People just want like a memento, I have a lot of tapes of my favorite bands growing up, so I don't have a way to play them right now. But whenever we have a tour band, it seems to only have tapes, so they feel relevant somehow.
My car still has a tape player, so like, if I ever get a tape anywhere else, it'll still work that way. That's awesome. But like vinyls, tapes, like and like your band named after like '90s Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder. Do y'all like have like this collection in your head of like things that are nostalgic that you want to put into the 21st century? In a way.
80s style is pretty cool.
I think some of the sound influence that we're channeling is kind of like, I don't know, like sort of warm, hopefully warm analog 70s tape. Like, I don't know, sound wise, I think there's some elements, and then some of our aesthetic is also like influenced by like, I don't know, just like for me growing up, that was kind of like there was records on, and there was. So I don't know, some of the imagery we use in our music videos was literally my parents' like couches and stuff. So I don't know. It's both a little bit before our time, but also just sort of like referencing our '90s childhood. So yeah, but other than that, I don't think we're gonna like, except for the '80s jumpsuits. Maybe that's a 2019.
That might be something we do.
Yeah.
Plus, what Fiddler did for their promos too.
Right, never mind.
Fun.
When I said Fiddler, y'all reacted. Why?
What?
I felt like that when I said Fiddler, y'all were just like, "Wait, what?" and like laughing.
Well, if they already did it, then we don't want to do it.
We're jumping on the band.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean they did it for a promo for their new album.
Oh
A
yeah.
while ago, yeah. So if you want to jump on the bandwagon, you can. But if not, that's all up to Winona Ryder. Winona Forever. I don't know why I said Winona Ryder. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because like when you search Winona Forever on YouTube, like you'll see like people will repost your music and they'll put like Winona Ryder's photo on there.
Yeah.
Like, does that ever like trip y'all out in a way? Or, like, oh, they're reposting my music, but I like the visual aesthetic too.
It's interesting. Like we definitely in 2014, 2015, we never thought that anyone would be reposting or like people are translating lyrics into Spanish and stuff. Like I think it's really kind of like takes me aback. I think it's really like cool.
There's a lot of online videos with people reposting too. There's way more of their videos than our videos too.
Yeah.
It's like we get drowned out by all the reposts.
Yeah, because I saw one on there. Someone reposted "Keep Cool," and I think the name's like David John Buchart, I think the name is, and that has like 200,000 views.
Wow. Yeah, he's super nice.
That's
I actually message him whenever we have a release because there's Alona Camaris too. Like those panels are kind of the reason a lot of people get buzzed. So then gets them buzzed on Spotify, and then that's what gets them paid. So that's honestly what happened in our case too. Like Keep Cool, I sent to a few of those people. They liked it. They reposted it. We got buzz on Spotify. We got playlisted. So it's like, I don't know, kind of shouts out to them because they, well, I mean, they're curating to their own taste, but they kind of do help out artists in a big way. And I don't know how much they make from their playlist, but like they can boost people's careers and stuff. So that's cool.
Thanks to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know one artist called Claus who virtually nobody knew in the Atlanta area, and they got their music played on Teen Wolf and on TV on like little like scenes from shows. And then like boosted their followers on Spotify, that boosted the listens on Spotify, and that does gain a whole new fan base. So I do have to see like what you're like on about that, and that's how y'all eventually got 1 million plays. Woo! 1 million plays for people on Spotify.
Yeah,
when did y'all first see that at all?
Pardon me?
When did y'all first see that? Like when you like woke up one day and you look on Spotify and you're like, oh shit, Keep Cool has 1 million plays.
That was like a month ago or like a month and a half ago, and like we were getting pretty close.
I'd started the tutorial, but I hadn't finished editing it. I wanted it to be done for like the day we hit it, but it was kind of nice the way it happened. I don't know.
We had a New Year's tutorial.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were like already like keeping tabs on like where it was going at that point.
Yeah, I mean we're pretty like proud, and sometimes people will kind of like send it to us and be like, "You're really close," or like just friends. That like
it's really nice.
It's really nice.
It's nice. People, we have a lot of like repeat listeners, especially on that song. Like a lot of people who I guess the song really connected with. So they were like, as Ben was saying, like keeping us posted and like, hey, you guys are at 800,000, 900,000.
I remember when I was hit 200,000. So it's yeah.
You've come a long way then. If you're like keeping tabs of that back there. But do y'all get monetized through Spotify too?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean,
go ahead.
It's like, I don't know if you've looked into it that much. We do it through CD Baby, so it's like a site that then posts to everything. They collect the royalties, and we get a PayPal check basically. It's allowed us to make these music videos and tour without having spent that much money, so we're like super grateful. But obviously, a million sounds like a lot, and it doesn't actually translate to a ton of money. But
I mean, too. I understand.
We just want to be able to like pay creators and like collaborate and buy mics and do our thing. So yeah, we've got one more music video coming pretty soon. That'll come with the pre-order of our album, and just like the fact that we're able to like fund all these things we would probably do anyway, but just probably spend a lot of our own money on. It's just like anything helps. Like gas money. It's everything.
Well, you're literally translating everything you're doing from the do-it-yourself scene onto what you're doing now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there anything you missed back when you're doing the do-it-yourself scene that you're not doing anymore that you'd want to have back?
I think the community.
Yeah.
The community. Like
Community.
yeah, I miss the people.
Like in Vancouver.
We played a couple shows in Vancouver over the winter break, and those were super fun.
Yeah,
and just like it's just nice to.
I mean, I feel like nothing has really changed like all that much for us. Like we're still kind of in the same place of like like playing shows that we want to play and like putting out music like how we want to do it. So
yeah, I think it's just sort of like one of the scenes that small. Everyone really has each other's backs and like supports each other's music, and there's really no sense of competition in the sense that, well, there's maybe some, but like no one's really gunning for anything that much higher than each other. It's just like people just want people to come out, and like young people need to come see shows. So everyone's kind of the same mindset. Whereas I've encountered some, I don't know, there's some people in places like Toronto, Montreal, I'm sure like LA, New York, where they really are gunning for something, and they don't really care about who's around them and what everyone else is doing. So that's just how life is. But I think we've already found that there's a lot of people that, there's a big community in Montreal as well, and like really nice people and good bands.
We're fortunate that our friends are in a lot of really good bands.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, Atlanta's the same way too, where it's like you said, like it's a community, and Atlanta's the exact same way. And if you're in Atlanta and you are an artists, it's like we give you a stage, we give you a platform to do this, and everyone's involved. Whereas, like you said, like with LA and New York and like places like that, where it's all cliquey and like everyone's like gunning against each other, I feel like Atlanta's kind of that same way too. Like,
Yeah,
is that
it's nice. The more of a community aspect, like it makes it really, it's nice to know who you're playing with and while playing.
But I guess the reason for that is just when there's more opportunities, people are a little hungrier and more competitive. So I think that's honestly a bit of why we wanted to try somewhere new. I mean, obviously we can afford to live here a lot more, but there wasn't so many. We weren't really looking at the horizon in Vancouver and seeing just a lot of options. Obviously there's ways to do it, but it just seemed like a cool idea to try to play somewhere new and experience a new scene. So far it's really been really rewarding. Yeah, to play for a new audience and be able to play like all and stuff like that.
Playing some really fun shows.
Yeah.
do you have a best show and do you have a worst show at all that you remember on your career?
In our career? Holy
In your career. Career.
yeah,
He's asking for the worst.
Best and the worst.
I was trying to think the best. What's the best recently? Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, our best show was on Thursday.
2 days ago.
Yes. January
Yeah,
7th.
It was a really
I was actually going to ask you about that too, but here we are.
here we are. What's the worst show though? Probably it's like that weird Toronto show.
Oh, that was weird. I was gonna say Saskatoon when we played like
Yeah, but they were nice.
yeah, they were
like,
nice. Yeah, no,
we played in
was just
Toronto,
weird.
and it was something weird. I'm not gonna name drop. If I don't know what it was, but it was like this kind of like punky goth bar, and like the security guard lost her, like got her wallet stolen, and was trying to like search everybody, and like had her flashlight on during the sets, and the vibe was just weird.
It
So
was really strange.
that was we were like, should we play? Because we don't even like the vibe here at all. Like we don't like how they're treating people.
The band that was playing
Lovers
after us
Touch.
was like asking.
Yeah.
should we
Yeah,
go-
they were
should
just like,
we
should we just
call
go?
Everyone was just weirded out. But I mean, well, again, there was nice people involved, but that was probably the worst.
They made the entire everyone in the building line up.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh my god, they
For a
patted-
pat
they
down.
patted
The
everyone.
whole building was like light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
like
turned the
turn-
lights on,
yeah.
stopped the bands.
Oh,
And meanwhile, it's
There's
like
a lot of
the
anger.
security guard got her wallet stolen. Like, I'm not trying to point fingers, but it's like,
But like,
keep track of
Yeah.
your wallet.
Like, that's your own fault. That's your own business. Don't put it on anyone else's.
Security.
it doesn't bode well.
Yeah, it's like I don't feel very secure. Anyway, but yeah,
What made that? Oh, go ahead.
we played a really good show on Thursday
Yeah.
for
Oh no. Hi.
Hey.
for
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
yeah, new interview.
Oh,
But yeah, I don't know. It was like that was one of the more like community oriented, like lots of friends, lots of like-minded people coming out to a local like vintage shop for art show and for music, and it just felt really, really good.
Check out Floral Art on Instagram.
Floral art. Woo!
Floral
Yeah.
art.
Yeah, 2 L.
Floral art. 2 L's?
2 L. And,
Is it floral like the flower or like floral spelled differently?
Hello.
Oh my god.
It's FLLORAL_art.
Cool.
All are in different places.
anyway, but yeah, that was a really highlight local show. It was really nice to be back in Vancouver and play some shows there too.
Yeah, that
like
was fun.
we played a Kingfisher Blues. That's the label
Oh,
that
the
we're
Christmas party.
releasing
Yeah,
on.
that was fun.
And it's all like to charity, like for suicide prevention, and they raised the most money each year for that charity, so it's really special. Yeah, they raised $5,000 this year for
Wow.
the suicide.
Holy.
And the people who, when they like go jump off the check, the people are like literally in tears because they never get that much money all year long. So
That's insane.
kind of heartwarming, you know. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
awesome. No, it's awesome, like for sure.
We love the Kingfisher Blue.
$5,000. Like
Yeah. yeah. Last year was like 2, and that was their biggest ever to date. And then this year he just told me it was 5. So
they broke it pretty much.
oh yeah, they doubled
Oh,
it.
wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Have you ever had like humbling opportunities like that before, apart from suicide prevention as a band?
I feel like not a lot of people organize those. Not to throw a
Not
damper
quite.
on it, but we haven't been offered like maybe here and there.
I mean, if a good one comes our way, we'll definitely do
Yeah.
it for sure. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of support for that one show, so it kind of felt like a really good idea. Like, it's hard to in Vancouver, it's hard to find a place that would maybe like throw that kind of thing or like find the right band. Like Peach Pit played that for the second year in a row, and they really bring a big crowd, so that helps make them end up. Yeah, we do that kind of thing if the opportunity presents itself.
Who do you think is the best like Vancouver band, like any genre, like best one?
Club Sofa.
Club Soap is amazing.
You have to check out Club Sofa.
Club Soap.
Club-
Wax
Club
Cowboy.
Sofa?
Way. Yeah. Wax Cowboy, Club Sofa, Peach Pit.
Yeah, those are
Peach
all
Pit.
solid. Yeah,
Wind Up Bird.
yeah, Wind Up
Yeah,
Birds.
they're still
are
making
sick.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gotcha.
those are the two ones.
Bank Dogs. Bands change a lot in Vancouver, but yeah, Club Sofa and
I think Club Sofa might be like our collective favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a favorite band.
So like when you're doing like the house party and you're getting the music, like Club Sofa is that number one pick then?
We play with them a lot. Yeah,
We played with them both nights.
that's
Oh, yeah,
true.
that's
Yeah,
true, yeah.
And like
we played our kickoff with them.
Yeah. they're
next
great.
time we go to Vancouver, we'll definitely hit them up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bridal Party is from Victoria, but they're also worth shouting out. They're doing cool stuff.
Some good Victoria bands.
Yeah, Sam's
Yeah,
from Victoria.
I'm from Victoria originally. There's Victoria. There is some good Victoria bands.
So y'all like have y'all like lived like all over the place then, like as individuals and then collectively met up, or how did Winona Forever meet?
Oh,
We all didn't go to like the same school or anything. We like Alex lived on an island off of
Yeah.
Vancouver. Rowan's from Burnaby. I was like right in the heart of Vancouver. Sam we've only
I'm from
played
all
with
over.
since Montreal, but he was in Victoria, so we knew him. But we really met like they were playing as a three-piece with with different members, and they played with my band. And then we just kind of like started all meeting in my mom's basement, and
Yeah.
then we got the house together at some point. But we've actually like lived together for a long ass time at this point, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like there's a family vibe as well. We're in our home right now, but yeah. Kind of through random means, like I didn't know other than from any of the people from school, so it's kind of I think it's kind of like the music
Yeah.
scene that
Yeah.
brought us together,
Yeah, pretty much.
which is cool.
Do you think the music scene itself or personal things that happen in your life inspire the majority or the bulk of your music?
I don't know. I guess like probably like generally pretty inspired by like bands we play with and like. Yeah.
I remember when we made Yacht Rock, or not Yacht Rock, the This Is Fine album, like we kind of wrote those songs to sound really good in like
a warehouse.
a warehouse
Like-
with when we were on a bill with punk bands. Like, not that was what we wrote those songs to. Well, like, I mean, we kind of
I mean,
we kind of wrote those songs,
Yeah.
yeah. So honestly, like writing Keep Cool, I was like, wait, I like a lot of like soul music and like more relaxed like indie pop. Like, what if I wrote a song like that instead? And that freedom was kind of the information we used to do, I don't know, a bunch of
Yeah.
this album. But that last one was kind of like majorly influenced by where we were going to be playing it and who we were
yeah,
going to be
like
playing
what
with.
what felt good kind of in like a live like.
So yeah, like energetic, rocky pop with Alex doing crazy drums was kind of the predecessor to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
That's really dope. So, are you on any Spotify playlist right now? Just like those, like the ones I'm talking about, the public ones, like where it's like bedroom pop.
I don't think I would love to get someone's contacts because
Just like contact Spotify, like saying, "Hey, like we got 1 million plays, put us on this right now."
yeah, like let's
That's
go.
probably good credibility. Like if you think about it, like really hard.
We've been really lucky to be on Fresh Finds twice, and that's one of my
Oh, yeah,
favorites.
that's
Like, Heads or Tails and Keep Cool. I think with our like when the album drops and like if we can like we might get a publicist for future releases. It's kind of funny how it works. Like when you release a song, now you're able to submit it for playlists, and they can hopefully they listen to it and see. But like if it's already an existing song, it's kind of up to them to find it. So I just don't know who to email, but I'll look into it. I think it'd be really cool to keep cool, especially on like an indie pop playlist or something like.
One of us just has to work at Spotify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's happened. We've gotten lucky with the playlisting.
It's so funny like how Spotify works like nowadays, because if you think about it, like before Spotify, it was like iTunes, Pandora, Rhapsody,
LimeWire.
LimeWire. Yeah, I'm a LimeWire guy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, LimeWire, by the way.
RDO. Did anyone else use RDO?
Nope.
Wasn't that the one that came after it, or was that before it?
RDO was great, and then they had some like big hacking thing, and a bunch of people like lost all of their music libraries.
Oh.
So like people were bummed. So RDO lost the credibility for a while. I think I don't want to slander RDO if this is not true.
I'll just swear.
I just remember using LimeWire like as a young kid and thinking like, oh my god, there's so much music on here. But now I realize like, wow, there are a lot of viruses on here too. Like I gotta be careful.
It's
Like
nice.
Yeah, so far.
We love Spotify though.
Spotify's great. Like Spotify it's
Spotify-
worth the money for that premium like account.
Yeah. I have Apple Music personally, so I'll shout out to them as well. But
True. I had to try out before I had my iPhone switched out for an Android.
nice.
I'm yet to make the transition over to Apple Music because I don't want to lose all my iTunes library. Like I understand I'll get it back eventually, but like
Oh, it's kind of weird how that works.
it's just the fact that I would lose it would kind of hurt. Because to get Apple Music, you have to like get rid of your library.
Oh, right.
He's not
yeah,
wrong,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
You got any music we should listen to, Ivan?
Any music that I should tell you to listen to? Yeah. What do you want to hear? What do y'all like?
What have you been listening to this week?
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny that we were talking about Steve Lacy. I literally could not go to bed. Last night I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was like, I'm bored. I'm gonna listen to some like deep, nice, quote unquote sleep groovy music. So first I put on Steve Lacy. I played that, and then I was like, Steve Lacy's in the internet. I'm gonna play the internet, and so I started playing the internet. And so yeah, to answer your question, I would say Steve Lacy, the internet. I've listened to a little bit of Rex Orange County, Mac DeMarco, Boy Pablo, stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah, Fiddler too. So those are all my recommendations, like kind of diarrheaed out there.
I listened
Nice.
to Fiddler. Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
What was there? They had like a song called West Coast. They put it on their second album, but like the first version of the song in like 2012, 2014, whatever, was like really.
It was 2012, I think. There was the first album, right? I think. Yeah, 2012 would be that then.
Yeah.
But no, they're a great live band. Like if they ever come to Vancouver, if you've ever seen them. I mean Montreal.
I've heard they go hard.
They go. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like I've seen live on YouTube, and then like they came here to Atlanta, and it was like $20 for tickets. So I was like, bet. They're a great live band.
It's big.
Like, definitely go if you ever get the opportunity. You won't regret it. Same thing for Mac DeMarco. Mac DeMarco's shows are insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen Mac DeMarco once.
I saw him in like 2014.
Oh yeah, that's
He was playing acoustic guitar for Phoenix on a tour. It was super weird.
Wow.
It was good. It was cool.
Wait, he had no band. It was just him.
It was just him, yeah.
Wow.
That is.
I think
He's probably good, but
he had a band for a couple of songs. I don't really remember. It was a long time ago.
I saw him, a few years ago, and the show was insane. Like, because in Atlanta they were also filming Stranger Things too. As well.
Wow.
Yeah, so around the same time. So it was the best live show I've been to. It was like 4 seats in the pit. Mac DeMarco stage dived on me, and I was like holding his cheek, and like a bunch of people were like crowding around my elbow, and I nearly dislocated it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then during one of the sets, part of the cast of Stranger Things came out on the side stage to watch, and everyone was freaking out. Finn Wolfhard played guitar.
Winona
Shout
Ryder?
shout out to Finn Wolfhard. His band's
Yeah.
actually cool.
Yeah,
they're good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know the bass player in that band. He's like the nicest dude.
They're from
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Yeah, I used to go to school with his older brother.
Oh, what?
Royal
Yeah.
Mountain Records is also based in Montreal, and there's like a bunch of
Wait,
friends.
Fermi on Royal Mountain?
Yeah, they're on Royal Mountain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well,
Yeah,
like for
from
like
their-
part-
They're really good, like especially like for their age to be like touring and like doing all this stuff.
Even
Like
though they're at their age, they make
it's hard.
They
It's
make
so good.
yeah.
Also, too, they're touring. They're touring right now, or they were touring, and like I understand from people I know that touring is a lot of work, and for them to be doing it at their age is like, I'm not saying like despite their age or any cliche like that, but for
No,
their
but
age,
When you're like kind of
16,
at that
17.
age and trying, like I wasn't doing that much productive stuff at that age, so it's kind
Yeah.
of like you do have to keep pulling back to that perspective where it's like they're achieving a lot. Also, the guitar player is so sick.
Oh, she's such a good guitar player.
She shouted out Shui on some
Oh, really?
on some Instagram
damn.
stuff.
That's
Like they're really nice about like shouting out like
Vancouver.
their roots and stuff too. They shouted out Neptune Records when they were like doing Nardwar's
Nardwuar
interview or
interviewed
something.
them.
Yeah, they're just really nice people. It seems like so.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Yeah, so I've had so many like weird stories like with Stranger Things like in Atlanta because I've not met Finn Wolfhard, but I've been in his presence like twice.
That's
The
pretty
the first was at this horror convention where Stranger Things were like the leading like thing where you could meet them. And as I was walking past Finn Wolfhard, I bumped into this guy, and I was like gonna turn around and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," but then I realized it was Caleb McLaughlin, and I was like, "Oh, okay, my bad."
Kyle McLaughlin.
Yeah,
No,
Caleb,
Is
the,
that-
Oh,
the black guy from Stranger Things.
okay.
Yeah. And like I couldn't like say sorry because there was like security like rushing him to his like booth or something.
Yeah, you were like, "Don't say it."
And then we tried taking pictures of them too, and then the security person actually said no, you can't do that. And so my friend just kind of like walked by, took the picture, and left. And it's just this awkward, weird shot of him talking to a fan.
Wow.
And we were just like posted on Instagram. We met them. Blatantly lying to people, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
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 That's so funny though. But yeah, those are my music choices for you. So if you've already listened to them, great. If not, then have a gander and listen to them again.
Wait.
Yeah. So we're just about out of time here for the podcast. Before we go, I do have one more question, and that simply is, what's in store for Winona Forever in the new year?
Ooh.
Lots of honestly,
Uh,
2019 is gonna be a pretty fun year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a new song coming out sometime soon.
Sometime soon.
TBD.
Eventually.
An
Yeah.
album sometime like early summer.
Probably a tour.
Probably
Yeah.
a tour.
A lot of recording.
Yeah.
Lots of
probably
Yeah.
lots
recording,
of recording.
lots of hanging out. I'm gonna be moving in with these guys pretty soon.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What's
so
up?
just lots of music, lots
Yeah.
of
The order is kind of like final single with video with pre-order for the album. Album comes out.
maybe another video,
Yeah.
possibly.
Tour it. Hopefully come your way.
Yeah, we'd
Um,
love to get down to the States this summer. That's sort of
Yeah.
what we're
and
hoping
then
to
get back in
to.
the lab, as I believe Dr. Joy says.
Atlanta has a good audience if you ever think about coming down here. Just saying.
Yeah, we're hoping to.
Awesome. Well, once again, this is the With, Where, and Who podcast with Winona Forever. Thank you so much for listening. Now we're tuning out.
Have a good one.